Oh, that's a good groove.
I was going to say the music is nice.
Okay. Well, good evening, everyone. Good evening. Good afternoon. Eventually, it will be evening, but good afternoon, everyone. This is the day that the Lord has made, and I choose to rejoice and be glad in it. I am Portia Wheatley. I am the founder and the president of a nonprofit organization acknowledged as Trophy of Life Incorporated, where we have the great pleasure of rendering hope, encouragement, and inspiration. Let me bring in my co host on today.
Hello, everyone. My name is Takira Swan. Happy Friday. You made it through the week. I am so happy to be here with all of you today.
So glad to have you always. And we will introduce our guest momentarily. And as I always request, I ask that you would go to our YouTube channel and subscribe. We are in the midst of taking Project 365 and the message of hope, encouragement, and inspiration around the world. Yes, I said around the world. We've already started, so I appreciate each and every one that comes to this platform to share some type of hope, encouragement, and inspiration because there is such a need for it. After last year, and not even thinking about last year, even this year and what we're living in today, there is someone, thousands of people that need hope, encouragement, and inspiration. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to do just that. Well, today I have the great pleasure of sharing the platform with Dr. Tony Stackhouse. Dr. Toni is a licensed therapist, and she has worked in the mental health field for over 20 years. And I know we have some great information that we will receive on today. And even before she leaves the platform, we're going to make sure we get all of her information about her platform as far as her business and how she can help those that are dealing with mental situations. And even if it is not you per se, you know someone that may be dealing with this type of situation. So we're all here to learn for ourselves as well as learn and help other people. Dr. Toni, thank you so much for accepting our invitation to join us. I
Thank you
so
for
appreciate it.
having me.
And today we're going to just step back and let you have the platform.
Thank you, Pastor Portia and Takira. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to share about mental health today. So I just really want to encourage people, as Pastor Portia talked about today. We have been all been experiencing sharing in the pandemic, and all of what that brings. It has brought some hopelessness for some people. It has brought some anxiety for some people. A lot of people don't know what will happen next as a result. Some people have lost their jobs. Some people have lost their housing security is being affected. Of course, if their income is being impacted. A number of things. People have lost loved ones. Let's talk about over all the 500,000 people have already died from this virus. And when it's all said and done, so many more would have perished because of it. Something that we didn't even see coming, right? Nobody had the opportunity to prepare for such uh, drastic measures. We didn't have the opportunity to prepare. And so, what do we do with all of the grief and the loss that has been sustained? And even if you have not been impacted or where somebody, one of your loved ones have not died, you felt the loss in the air. Like it's such a season of every 5 minutes you turn to Facebook or you look somewhere, somebody is passing. And it's like you holding your breath, waiting for the next person. It's like, wow, who will be next? So it's just been a season of loss in so many ways. And so, what do we do with that grief? What do we do with that anxiety? What do we do with not knowing what will happen in the next moment? So for a lot of us, our hope is in God, right? We don't want to over spiritualize things, but when we have our hope in God, that means we do have hope because we know that when we don't know what is happening, He does. Like this was not a surprise to Him. It didn't catch Him off guard. So He has a plan. He allowed it for a reason. And for a lot of reasons, a lot of us will emerge out of this better than we entered. And we will have him to thank for that. But to put things into practical senses, because we got to be able to live. Our humanity is being affected. Our physical bodies are being affected by the anxiety that we feel, and some of the hopelessness that some of us have felt in this season. And we got that's real, and we can't act like shouting is going to make that go away. We can't act like any of those things are going to let that go away, because it's not. We have to do some very practical things to help deal with our mental health so that we are well when we emerge out of this. Our mental health is just as important as our physical health, just as much as you go and get your annual physical every year and you see your doctor when you're having challenges, you make those appointments when you're having symptoms. You go and see your medical doctor or you go see a specialist. Mental health is just as important. When you don't feel well mentally, it affects you physically. It affects your creativity. It affects everything that about your whole being. It affects that, and we got to be real about that. So, in the church, we don't necessarily want to talk about therapy and therapists, but I got on my shirt today so you'll know it say God and therapist and my therapist, because we need God and a therapist. Because this is the thing, faith without works is dead. So we are believing God to keep us and sustain our minds and renew our minds. But what do we do practically so that He can do that? Because He puts His super on our natural efforts, right? So what do we do to maintain our mental health? And in some of the same ways that we maintain our physical health, we go to the doctors, we eat right, we take on an exercise regimen. We do those things so that we can be healthy, right? We want to make sure that we are warded off like diabetes and high blood pressure, those things. So mentally, we got to do the same thing. If you are feeling overwhelmed or you feel like you are experiencing anxiety where you are not able to handle it, let me say anxiety is normal to a certain degree. We all feel anxious, and anxiety you can experience anxiety good and bad. When you go and buy a house or you buy a car, or you get ready to get married, you are excited. That's anxiety. It's good anxiety, right? But it's anxiety nevertheless. But also when things are not going well, or you feel anxious about having to do something because you're fearful and you don't know what's going to happen, that's the negative side of anxiety. So when we experience anxiety, we all have a way of dealing with it. We know sometimes we take deep breaths and it'll subside. Some people use exercise and it subsides. But when you get to the point where it's unmanageable, where you can't manage it yourself, that's when you need to get to the point where you need to seek clinical help. Anxiety or depression. Depression, sometimes we wake up, sometimes we just don't feel like this is not a good day. I'm not feeling good. But you can put on some music, light some candles, and make yourself feel better. Some of us, I like smell good. I like perfumes. I like the scented candles. And once I do that, I'm good. But there are sometimes when you feeling sad and hopeless and you can light candles and put on, nothing will work. I just don't feel good. And when it gets to that point, just like when anxiety is unmanageable, that means the depression that you're feeling is unmanageable and you need to seek assistance with that. And a clinician, a clinical professional therapist can help you with that. Let me normalize all of the things that we are feeling right now in the midst of this. We're talking about the global pandemic, right? Heaven forbid you got anything going on in your personal life outside of what we all are experiencing, right? One of the things we have which is good about the pandemic is it's not one person isolated going through it alone, right? We are all going through it across this globe. Everybody is going through whatever it is you are experiencing as it relates to this pandemic. And so anything that you feeling is normal. Any of the anxiety, any of the I don't know what's going to happen, you can believe that all of us from time to time, from March 15th of 2020 until today, because we don't know when it's going to end, have had some feeling of anxiety. What's going to happen? Is anybody in my family going to contract this virus? Is anybody in my family going to pass away? What's going to happen with my job? Like all of those questions, all of those things that will bring us hopelessness, we have all experienced that. So that's normal. But then we got people that have isolated situations going on in your life, right? You got other stuff that's going on that is different. Like this is something that is singular to you. Like some people might be experiencing marriage challenges right now. People are experiencing challenges with their children. Think about all of the parents who are trying to do homeschool and trying to do work at home remotely, and then think about the husband and wives who are used to going and going and going. And now, because of the pandemic, you can't go. So you can't run and hide from the lack of communication in your marriage or the things that you haven't spent the time and effort to put in your marriage. Now it's showing, right? And now it's showing because it's quiet, it's silent, and it's raining loud with this person that you have vowed to spend the rest of your life with. Now you're looking at like, I don't know about that, right? Because I can't run, I can't hide from it. And that's what a lot of people that's what's happening. A lot of people in my field, we have experienced an increase of people, marriages coming for counseling and people coming for counseling for things that really was occurring prior to the pandemic. But the pandemic, because it kind of halted everything, kind of highlighted those things, right? And so now we got to make a decision. Either we're going to get some assistance or we're going to call it a quits, what we're going to do. And good for the people who say we're going to reach out and get some help to help us kind of facilitate through all of this. Um, and that's all a therapist is going to do. There is a myth, and it's because people be watching Ayanna Fix My Life. A therapist don't fix your life. A therapist empowers you, really highlights the strengths that you have to take the responsibility to make the changes in your life that you need. What we do is bring those things to light. Everybody has strengths in them that God has placed in us for us to be able to survive those things that we have gone through. We have resilience, we have all of that, but sometimes they get clouded, right? Sometimes I don't think I have those things, even though I've just gone through all the things that I've gone through, and I'm not realizing, wow, I just survived that. So, what did you do? How did you survive that? And you might not be able to put a name to what it is that you use to survive it, but that's what a therapist does. That's what I do. I help you identify those strengths that you have so that you can become self-aware of them. You become aware to the point where you know that I have this as a strength and I can rely on it. When I feel anxious, this is what I can do not to feel anxious. When I feel sad and I feel depressed, this is what I can do to not feel those things. And so it kind of empowers you. It makes you feel good about who you are. It makes you feel like you are more in control. Sometimes things happen to us in life, and I always say there are some things that we have control over, but there are some things we don't have control over. Absolutely not. But if we have a good handle on the things that we can have control over, when those things happen that we don't have control over, it kind of mitigates the things that can happen, like the collateral damage that affects us that we don't have that control over. So it's more about being able to control the things that you can control over, because the factors, the variables that we don't, we're never going to be able to have an effect on that. But what we can do, we're going to do. And then we're going to take the spiritual side of it and pray that those things we don't have control over, God will have an effect in those things. But we don't want to make it seem like, in the church, we want to make it seem like we're going to pray and God going to do it all. God not going to do it all. He's not going to do it all. He wants us to do some things. He's going to do what we can't do, but he's relying on us to do what we can do. He will handle the part that we can't do. Faith without works is dead. You got to go and get your mental health treatment. We want to make sure that you find somebody that is that you can build a therapeutic relationship with, right? It is difficult. It is challenging to go and sit and talk to somebody and talk about those things that you hold near and dear to your heart, personal things, some things that you wouldn't share with anybody. And I always say when I start off therapy with people that this is a non-judgment zone. Like this is a place where you can come and talk about whatever you need to talk about and have no fear about being judged. I don't have any judgment for you. My only responsibility is to help you help facilitate, help you go through these experiences that you've gone through, to help you process through that trauma so that you won't be stuck there, right? And you can be able to move on and get past it. So you got to be able to find somebody that you can relate to, somebody that you feel like. So it's okay if you go to a therapist and you don't feel like it's not a good fit. Some people think that that's a bad thing. And as a therapist, I have the authority. It's good incumbent upon me too to say, you know what, I don't think that this is a good fit for me, because I got to be able to work with the person as well. So it's got to be a good fit for the therapist. It got to be a good fit for the person that's seeking therapy. Because this is the thing: if you're not able to be transparent, if you're not able to be honest, then the time that you spend won't be effective. You won't be able to get all that you can get out of it if you're not able to be honest. And therapy, you got to be able to be honest. It's almost like you go to your medical doctor and your medical doctor is not understanding why your pressure is high, and you're not saying to him, "Well, I'm eating foods with salt and high in fats," right? You disclose it, you not disclose the information that you should disclose, and the doctor is not understanding what's happening. Same thing with the therapist. If you're not being honest about what is really happening with you, it's and the therapists don't have mental telepathy where we just going to automatically know these things. You got to be able to feel comfortable to disclose the information so that you can get the best help that you can get. But once you find that person, you got to be committed to doing the work, both inside therapy and whatever work they give you outside. You got to be willing to do it as well so that you can experience the changes that you desperately need and want to see in your life. So I think that what we got to get comfortable with is being able to say, I need to go and get a therapist. And it's okay. I know that there are negative connotations that we attach, and we say things like people must be crazy if you need to go see a therapist. Culturally, African Americans, we don't believe in um, going to get therapy. We believe in you just gotta make it through. You gotta do what you gotta do, and you gotta handle it. And for some reason, we've been taught the message that that is strong, and we got to stop that. We got to stop making people feel like they got to keep going and keep going and keep going. It is okay to stop and take a deep breath and take a moment, take a pause. I always tell my clients it's okay to pause, take that moment that you need so that you can ex- allow yourself to express yourself from what you just experienced. We go from one crisis to the next crisis to the next crisis to the next crisis without even processing all that we've gone through. And then we wonder why at some point we have a nervous breakdown or a mental breakdown. It's because we have not allowed ourselves the opportunity to take that breath to say, I need to take care of myself. I need to take a deep breath. I need to stop. I need to process this. I need to allow myself to feel what I feel in that moment so that I can be able to move past this moment and then go to the next thing. It's okay to get a therapist. Nobody is saying that you're crazy because you need a therapist. We all, and they even teach us, and I have a therapist. As a therapist, I need to have a therapist because I need to make sure that I am processing the things that's happening in my life personally properly so that I can then professionally be able to deal with the clients that I work with and help them deal with that. But I also got to know my capacity. What are my limits? What what are my and every therapist should know what their limitations are. What is your expertise, what your area of expertise is. And as pastors, we should know that as well. We should know that it's okay for us to offer pastoral counseling, but when people have things that they're dealing with that's beyond those limits, it's okay to say I need to make a referral to a clinical professional. And it is not to say that I am inept or something is wrong with me because I am not able to do that. We got to be okay with saying this is beyond my limits. This is beyond my capacity to deal with this, whatever that this is. It is not an indictment on who you are. It just says that you are healthy enough, you are mature enough to say, I'm not able to help with this, and this is okay. And just as much as it's important for people to say, I need help, it's important for all of us to say, okay, I can help you, but this is beyond me. And that's for even us as family members and as friends. We famous for providing um, suggestions to people and trying to help people. But we got to know really when people are dealing with stuff, what are those limits? When is it time to say, you know what? I really think you should go and sit down and talk to somebody. And if you want me to go with you, I can provide that kind of support for you. But what you're dealing with right now, I think is beyond my capacity. And we just got to get real comfortable in being able to say that. And helping people. That's how you really help people. I know that a lot of us want to be super women and super men, and we want to be able to say we saved the day. And the best way you can do that to help people, you don't want to hinder people, you don't want to hurt people. The best way you can do that is to figure out what is best for the people that you care about. Also noticing, like all of us are struggling. I talked about us dealing with anxiety and depression, paying attention to the people around us, right? Paying attention to when you calling people and they not answering the phone. When the last time you checked on them? Talking when you talking to people, noticing when people don't sound like themselves, like when they sound like they down, and not just taking for them to say I'm okay, taking that as okay, saying pushing the envelope to say no. I've talked to you for the last 3 days and you sounded like this. Maybe we need to go and get some assistance. We really need to we like to sugarcoat stuff. I'm blessed and highly favored. You know the jargons we say in church, right? That make all of us mad, but we say it, and we say it because we don't know what else to say. We just been programmed to say those things. But we really want. I mean, you really want to be blessed and highly favored when you say those things, but don't say those things if you don't mean it. And this is another thing that is a pet peeve of mine. You ask people how they doing, and when they say it, you kind of overlook because you really not interested. You just really just saying how you doing. But when they say it, what is your response to what they saying? Like sometimes people are reaching out for help. People are throwing out the life rafters, and we're not listening spiritually, and we're not listening naturally, that we're not paying attention. So I think this is a good time for us. We are, I mean, just before the pandemic is over, we really got to check on people and really do an assessment to see if people are okay. And if they're not okay, be willing to go with them or help them seek the assistance that they need. Check on people and really see how people are doing, and check on the children. Like we leaving the children out. Children are hearing what's going on. We talked about the pandemic, but we didn't talk about what is happening politically. We didn't talk about what has happened at race related. Our children are hearing, they are absorbing. When children are experiencing anxiety, it manifests in headaches, it manifests in stomach aches. When children are saying they having headaches and they having stomach aches, you need to be talking to your children and asking them what's going on. How are they feeling? And don't think because they're not saying anything to you that they don't know what's going on. Children are listening, they hearing, and all of these things, they are frightening to us, right? All of this stuff that was happening politically, all this stuff that's happening race wise, our men, African American men getting killed. That's frightening to all of us, even as adults. Imagine our children. They are having these traumas, and we're not able to help them process it because we're not properly processing through it. So we want to check on our children, see what children got a number of things going on. They're doing school virtually and they're not accustomed to it. So they're not getting that socialization that they are accustomed to getting that they need. Like it's a purpose for children going to school and being able to socialize. That is a thing that's about growth and development for children. And so they're not able to do that. What is your backup to that? How are you able? There are ways that you can help them get that in a safe way, even in the midst of the pandemic, even though they can't go to school. But you got to talk to them about how they feel about doing classes online, how they feel like doing classes and not being able to see their classmates in person. You got to check on the children and see how they are doing as well. Everybody is having a hard time during this pandemic. And I think that we serve each other well, especially in the body of Christ. We want to make sure everybody is well. And the way that we do that is to check on people. So we want to do that. I don't know how much more time I have, but
Oh, is it? Look, oh, okay. Look, we got it. Look, I just say Wanda, bring it in. As, look, like a preacher, you go and yank on their coattail, but it's been good. Oh, let me ask you
Sure.
this. What are some simple practices that men, women, boys, or girls who can do in the sense of if they're stressed or um, and that's if they don't handle the stress, I know it's going to build up
Mentally,
mentally.
right,
So what are some little things or simple things that they can do
right. So some
immediately?
things that we can do. One of the things we got to be careful of with us having like low activity because we're not able. We was going to the movies, we was going to dinner, we was going. Now we can't. We got to make sure we still get outside, get some sunlight, get some daylight, and do exercise. And you can do exercise inside and outside. Make sure you moving around. A lot of us are being very sedentary because we are in our homes now, working from our computers. And so if you got stairs in your house, walk up and down the stairs. Do something different. Change your scenery. Sometimes I work in my office at home, but sometimes I make my office in the basement or I make my office on the first floor just to get a change of scenery. That helps. If you like stuff like lighting candles, do that. That's for people. I'm a smell goods person, so I love candles. I love perfume. I love shower gels. Take a bath, a long bath. Get somebody to watch the kids so that you can take a bath uninterrupted and relax. If you feel safe, after a year, I just got my nails and a pedicure last week. But do what you can do in a safe way. There are breathing techniques you can do if you feel anxious. Sometimes you just need to step away from whatever it is that's stressing you. Take deep breaths. Count to 10. Inhale, exhale. Do that. If you have a trusted friend that you can talk to somebody about what's stressing you out. Write in journals as well. I use that as a technique. It's a technique called dumping. Some people, if you're struggling with sleeping at night, go to your journal and write everything that's on your mind. Just write it. It's called dumping. Just write it out. No rhyme or reason. Just get it off of your mind onto the paper. And a lot of people who have used it have been able to sleep at night when they've used that. So those are a number of things that you can do to
Just some
get that relief. Simple
simple
things.
things. Yes, yes. That doesn't it doesn't
It
cost
doesn't
you
cost
anything.
you anything. You don't have to leave your house to do it. Yeah, just those things.
And I
Do
think
find a hobby. Do some things with your family. Some things that you like to do. This is a time where we didn't have we had family time, but now it's like forced. So you do pick something you can do with your whole family. It's something that you've not done before. That will bring some level of excitement. And it's get ready to get warm, and we've had some days with 50. Take a walk with the
yeah.
family. Get outside. Definitely as much as you can get outside. It's that outside sunlight that gives us life that we need. So you want to do anything outdoors that you can. I know the cold weather prohibits us from doing it on a large scale, but whatever you can get outdoors, it's going to serve you well.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Tony. Thank you so much.
Well,
I appreciate it. This information is going to do us very, very well. And I pray that our audience will share this information. Um, we definitely need it. We definitely need it. And I know without a doubt, there are family members that need it, whether in my family, your family, the audience family, we need this
we
information.
all
Just
need it.
these simple things, and let's take it to heart. We're not going to be in this same situation that we're in tomorrow.
Right.
Where we are today, let's be intentional about not being in the same place tomorrow. But we have to do something. Like you said earlier, we have to do something. We just can't, Lord, put me in another place. Lord, put me in another place. Lord, you got to get up and get to another place.
Get to another place, and
Get
He
to
will
another place.
establish you in that place. But you got
Yes,
to put your feet in motion.
absolutely. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Takira going to come in and bring us some closing statements.
So, of course, thank you for coming.
Thank you.
I have so much to say, but I'm not going to say everything because, of time. So, I have so much to say. Your presentation was so great. I really
Thank you.
enjoyed it.
Thank
And one thing on our platform, Project 365, that I know that we're going to continue to do throughout the year is to normalize mental health. I'm pretty sure, people can argue with me if they want to, but I believe mental health is even more important than your physical health. Your brain controls everything in your whole body, your brain, your emotions, so you can be healthy as you want to be, the healthiest person in the world. And if you're stressed, or if you don't know how to cope or deal with traumatic events or just change or things that happen, your body's going to shut down. So your mental health, we have to help everyone to normalize that. So I really appreciate you and your profession. Where do I start? I really have so much to say. One thing I love about people like you in the profession is I love when you have therapists who not only listen to what you have to say, but also give you practical tips and to help cope with or deal with whatever you're going with. Even if you have nothing going on in your life, it's like, okay, let me give you this worksheet to read over, or however your therapy style is. So I really appreciate that, and I just want to encourage everyone to find someone they can talk to, a therapist or a counselor. It's really not that hard, especially now since we're in a pandemic. You have free services online. Most therapists I know, you can go through your insurance. If you don't have insurance, if you have Medicaid or Medicare, there's plenty of people that
you can get therapy in the privacy of your own home.
In your own home.
Don't get no better than that.
Exactly. Find a room. If you live with people, find a room where you can seclude yourself for a moment and just have that private time to talk to someone without judgment. So I just want to encourage everyone to do that, especially with like you said, children. They're so overlooked when it comes to mental health right now because of the pandemic. Adults were going through so many different things. Even like, teenagers, they're not as overlooked as like the little ones, but it was on the news. It wasn't here. We're in Maryland, by the way, viewers. It wasn't locally for us, but there was a 9-year-old who committed suicide because he was depressed because of he can't see his friends. He's having trouble in school with online learning. And, you're thinking 9 years old, like that's so young. But that just shows you, that just shows you depression has no age. Stress has no age, it affects everyone. So I really want to encourage you all to take the time to just pay attention to those signs and pay attention to the health of the children around you. And also, watch this over again. You can fast forward if you want. Listen to those tips that she gave you that you can do. That whole dumping piece that you said, that works. It works for me because I know when I'm getting ready to go to sleep, I may be thinking, okay, so this is what I do now. Why do I feel this way? Okay, I feel a little bit of tension here. So I breathe and I say, what is really going on? Let me have my own Iyanla moment and say, why do I, where is this stemming from? And it could be, you know what, I'm stressed. I got to do something tomorrow, or this is due. Yeah. And if I write it down, it's like, okay, I already know what was making me feel this way. And now I'm going to go to sleep. So I encourage you all to do that. And also, since a lot of us cannot meet with our friends and family, take advantage of these free online resources to still link up with your friends. I have a group of friends who are moms, and they have their mommy happy hour. So they all have their bottle of wine or juice box or water or whatever, and they have a specific time during the week where they meet and they Zoom or FaceTime, or Google Duo, because FaceTime, sometimes, I don't know, but they sit together and they just talk like, hey girl, what's going on? My kids are driving me crazy too. How about yours? Because you can still have that visual interaction with people. And even though we can't physically touch everyone and hug them like we want to, that still makes a difference. I had a family reunion time on Zoom with a side of my family, and we played Family Feud on Zoom. So just take advantage of these things. Did you know you can play games on Zoom, with people, and have we had like a breakout room session, like, okay, this is your team and this is your team, and let's see who can figure it out, the fastest. And even though it may seem like it's not a big thing, take advantage of those things. So I just want to say that there's so many things out there for you to stay healthy mentally. And like we're going to continue to do with this platform, we're going to normalize having a healthy mental health in your world. So thanks.
I tell you, it is wonderful to have this information at our hands. It's really good in the sense of, after a while, it gets to the point What can I do? And there is always something positive that you can do. Dr. Toni, thank you again for sharing
Thank
such
you
great
both.
information.
Thank you.
And to our audience, don't forget, share this information with someone that you may feel that could use it, definitely could use it, or someone that you know without a doubt they're having mental challenges. So don't just share that information, sit with them and watch it, just in case they might have a question or they may want to speak with you or speak with someone at that particular time that they're listening to Dr. Toni. Okay, so on that note, we are going to leave you for today. But again, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for going to our YouTube channel and subscribing. And on that other note, we're gone and we shall see you on tomorrow. God bless. Bye bye.